Hi, this is your host Shubham Tiwari, and I welcome you to Education Plus, a show brought to you by Wonder Published Magazine, where we try to bring in the institutional perspective to the discourse around education and, more importantly, education technology. Our today's guest has over 10 years of experience in the education sector. She is an astronomy educator, scientific ambassador, HESA space educator, Teacher Liaison Space Foundation, and she's an SDNX Space for Women mentor. Welcome to Wonder Published Magazine, Ms. Nidhi Jain.
Thank you so much, Shubhamji.
We are glad to have you, ma'am. So, as I told our audience that you're a science and space educator, and you're also a senior science educator at in Pune, I believe, right now. So, my question to you would be, ma'am, tell us about the state of astronomy education in India, both in terms of content and infrastructure, more importantly, infrastructure.
First of all, thank you, Shubhamji, for inviting me. And thank you so much, because this is a question which is so much prevalent. If you see the current state of astronomy education. As we know that there are many discoveries in astronomy in recent years, and which has generated a lot of excitement, not only in our country, but globally also. And many Indian scientists also have contributed. If we talk about content, if we talk about infrastructure, but when it comes to promoting astronomy education at different levels, so unfortunately, in the education planning of India, astronomy has been relegated to a position of Earth, which is quite secondary importance. Okay. So if you see the India's rich tradition in astronomy, there are many illustrious work by Brahmagupta, by Bhaskaracharya, by Aryabhatta, and many other eminent personalities.
Right.
So they don't need any introduction. So India has presently quite a number of active astronomers and astrophysicists, but quite a handful of around 700 universities, right, which teach astronomy.
Only
and astrophysics. Yes. So at around, like if you talk at postgraduate level, the number is so less. And the number of undergraduate colleges with courses in astronomy is so small. And if we further go to school level, astronomy is not part of curriculum. And astronomy is not a separate subject in school.
Okay.
And if you talk about the other astronomical concepts, they appear in at primary level in EVS, and right, in middle school level, they appear normally in your geography or science lessons. But these are mostly facts. There is no reasoning in that. Like they learn about different planets and all that, but they don't go in depth.
Right.
Now, if we talk about outside classroom,
right,
there are around 60 planetariums in India, in our country. And bigger cities, they have amateur clubs of astronomy. There are amateur astronomers also, but still they're not reachable to the remote areas of our country.
Okay.
So astronomy education and public outreach should be integrated with the current curriculum. And about talking about the second point that you spoke about, the infrastructure you were asking, the infrastructure, we do not have specially, so-called space labs. But government has already started with Atal innovation missions, right, and setting up Atal tinkering labs in schools. So also with the start of Antariksh Corporation, that is limited, that is the so-called commercial arm of ISRO, ISRO, where commercial space exploration of space products and many startups, they are providing opportunities for hands-on experience for college students. Like Skyroot is one of them, Bellatrix is there, Orbitex Aerospace India, SDNX, they're the leading private space organization. So we really need to bring big leaps in order to compete globally.
Wonderful, ma'am. So as you said, there are not many people who are pursuing this stream of science. But speaking about your career, it's been 10 years and you've been teaching in different boards as well. So how would you describe your journey, let's say, in terms of your chosen stream and all the boards that you've worked with?
So as an educationist for past 10 years, or for any educationist,
Right.
and talking about their journey, it is really remarkable when we consider that a teacher's journey is one of the venture. And each year we encounter with new students and they become part of our community. And we educators, we really witness their joys, their sorrows too. So in this way, we see them learning, we see them growing, we see them maturing, as well as when they mistakes and they fail. It's not only success, sometimes they fail also.
Right.
So that time we support them. We tell them that failing is a step to succeed in life.
Correct.
We actually encourage them, we inspire them, and try to motivate them to this so that they can reach towards their goal. Not only with our words, but through our actions also. And we try to model them in front of them
Right.
and we actually tell them what is impossible and what they can achieve better in their lives.
Correct.
So no doubt we facilitate. So what I do is I do not like to use the term teacher or educator. Currently, our role is more of facilitating. So we are facilitators, impart our skills, knowledge, expertise, not only through our knowledge, but also through our abilities, and make them believe to have faith in their own abilities.
Right.
So professionally, I started my career in the year 2010. We built curriculum, policies, and lesson plans for students. So it is always the learner we should think about, who
Correct.
should be actively engaged. They should be curious, they should be driven to, because they have to outperform all the students, all the peers which were traditionally educated. And as an educator, my mission was and is to prepare a child for future careers. So when I talk about future careers, those are the careers which do not exist right now.
Okay.
So we have to incorporate 21st century skills, and they should be able to experience the real world problems and which are coming from the industry, from the organization.
Correct.
They should be able to implement the design thinking skills, and at the same time, we also make sure they imbibe the core values of humanity. That is empathy, kindness, and respect.
Wonderful. Wonderful, man. And since you spoke about, future, the technology is going to play a huge role, a bigger role, no matter, which technologies, the tools that we're using right now. So, and you're also research in the field of education technology. So how do you look at the growth of this sector, in the past 1.5 years because of this prolonged pandemic?
So yes, a couple of things are there, and we keep on reading different newspapers and articles. And according to the Economic Times, I read that the current market size for edtech industry is about $700 to $800 million. This is the current size.
In India.
And the industry is attracting all the private investments also.
Correct.
So this is a growing thing, and we know, we all know, like Byju, which is, if you evaluate Byju right now, the evaluation is around $15 billion. So the India's edtech industry in 10 years, if we say, it is going to be around the size of $30 billion.
Okay.
So this is the size. And as we know, as the pandemic has pushed the world into the expanding education sector online, completely online. And COVID has brought a pattern where trends are changing. Trends have to change actually.
Correct.
So I believe this is a cascading movement where it is all happening overall. the key part is basically when we look at the point of view of technology, but here I also think that it is the consumer, the student or the learner.
Correct.
Now they are aware that it is doable. Also the government, if we talk about government's perspective, that they should be playing a major role. They should be enabler and evangelist for online education to flourish. And all these efforts, they require a lot of financial investments,
Right.
as well as not only financial investment, but a lot of creative imagination and investments in terms of creating and curating content. So the delivery, what you gave is accessible to everyone.
Correct.
So yes, of course, private sectors are investing, and yes, it requires a fair amount of investment, but not as much as if you talk about the e-commerce business, the companies which are running these businesses. So it is much lesser and much more high impact it will give.
Great, great, ma'am. So with many tools and solutions, already being in the market, in what ways EdTech can, further assist better, let's say, students and teachers alike?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I mean, in what ways EdTech can, assist better students and teachers alike, both?
Yes. So thank you so much. So I absolutely agree with this, that there are many existing EdTech solutions are there, which are already existing. There are various online courses are there. There are MOOC courses are there. So I would like to say that learning is not only about exciting and enthralling content which exists, but it is also really going to be entire learning experience.
Yeah.
So if everyone thinks that online education is like you take a professor and make him sit in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So it is not like that. This is really going to make a big, it's not going to be the right thinking.
Correct, correct.
It's about bringing creativity and innovation in online education.
Right.
So you can enrich the learning experience of the students, making lectures interesting and the ability to add the technology into the lectures.
Correct.
So technology is going to augment your learning process. It is going to augment the pedagogy. So entire profession is based on how creatively you are going to engage your students.
That's wonderful.
This reminds me of one quote which Rumi mentioned.
Okay.
So Rumi ne kaha hai, if you want a hug or if someone should hug you, you must open your arms and unfold your arms. So we as this educators community, we should be unfolding our arms and we should be welcoming the new change which is coming. So teaching using any educational tool, it is not about who you are.
Right.
It's about the way how you can bring change in the world.
Absolutely.
And there is a famous quote by Aristotle. He said that education is not about filling vessels. It is about bringing a spark, igniting a spark in a student. And that is our duty. We cannot ignite a spark if our own spark is not lit.
Right.
So all are doing exciting things, learning new educational tools.
Right.
So we are part of this new era. We are the leaders of this new era. We are the lighthouses.
That's wonderful, ma'am. And speaking of sparks, you have been igniting many interesting ones, as you have manufactured and designed a rover and led the school team at NASA Human Exploration Rover Challenge 2018, which happened in the USA. So tell us about this event. How was the experience? How was the level of involvement on your part?
Thank you so much, Shubhamji, for bringing this beautiful memory of my life. So in the year 2018, actually our school, we came to know that there is a pre-selection event happening, which was held by a Tech Mantra Labs in Chandigarh for the International NASA Rover Challenge. Right. And this was the best opportunity that I, being a teacher, I being a facilitator, could give to my students, because I wanted to give them an international experience. So let me tell you that rover is a vehicle which astronauts use on the moon and other planets.
Okay.
So the challenge is to keep reinventing the model,
Right.
because they want to develop a rover which will include different kinds of mechanism which
Right.
can be used on Mars and further missions.
Yeah.
So our students received the scholarship, and they also received the assignments and reports for further rounds. They worked on designing the rover parts,
Okay.
and it was a sense of pride for being a school team to participate in the rover challenge. Because from our country, like from any country, they choose only 4 teams, either 4 schools or 4 college teams they are selected. So we were the ones. And along with the students, we traveled to US in the month of April. Our rover design was quite indigenous. The wheels were indigenous. They were inspired by Mahabharat.
Wow.
And because the wheels which the chariots were using,
Yes, yes, correct.
so we used the sandwich technology.
Okay.
For our wheels, we used the rubber mats, and we received a lot of applause from not only from our country, from all the parts of the world. So it was very encouraging to have many girls participating in the entire event.
Wonderful.
So because generally there is a deep rooted thinking that boys are good in engineering and mechanical
STEM subjects.
skills.
Correct. Yeah.
So we feel that normally we feel that boys are only good, but we had more girls taking part in our team. So this showed that change is coming, and we are overcoming the leaky pipeline effect.
It's a wonderful change, ma'am. That's wonderful. Speaking about other your strengths, you're also proficient at managing remote learning environments. So would you say this environment has got enhanced due to this sudden shift to online learning, because everything was happening remotely?
Yes, agree, 100% agree that yes, more of telecollaboration is happening.
Correct.
Everywhere, and more of sharing is happening.
Yeah.
Like I would just like to give an example, like
Yes,
how all the organelles present inside a cell, how they collaborate with each other, like how inside, if you talk about atom, like how proton, neutron, and electron, they coordinate inside the atom. Like all the organs in the humans, they work in partnership.
Absolutely.
So here, with the remote learning environment, more of collaboration is happening between the educational institutions, between the educators. So the world is working like a concert for symbiosis. So the major requirement which is coming up is the pedagogical change, which is aligned with the new national education policy.
Correct.
So till now, all the educators of different boards, systems, they used to teach the current the content separately, aloof, where the real world problems were not part of it. But now, as the current education system is saying that according to the new national education policy, that the more of experiential learning should be there. Integration in the pedagogy should be there,
right,
and some peer mentoring should be there. So when telecollaboration is happening, where teachers, educators from all around the world, though they are remote, but more of integration is happening. So the teachers are facilitating this process, and what they are making sure is that they are preparing the students for future 10 to 20 years hence. While in future, when they're working with the colleagues, because they have to work with everyone.
right.
So this is the effect, the additive effect, which is coming here. And emphasis is more on competency-based learning, more of competency-based learning, which is coming across the, like if we talk about an educator from a Western country, educator from a developing country, So both are merging with each other, collaborating with each other. So all the educators are moving into real-time information system here.
Right. That's wonderful, ma'am. And apart from the academics, you like to engage in, social services, community service programs. So can you tell us about the programs that you took part in, let's say, in this difficult period of COVID-19?
Yes, so Shubhamji, as we all know, that education is the most powerful key,
Well,
which is
that's
going to
wonderful.
decide the fate of the nation.
Correct.
And achieving a sustainable development goal number 4, we all know, which is for quality education. It is a humongous dream during this global pandemic.
Right.
So with this ongoing situation of pandemic, where the schools are unlikely to reopen anytime
Yeah,
soon,
correct.
a very common sight, which a scenario which has actually forced these children to earn their livelihood by helping their parents during this crisis. And the reason the schools are closed is that this chain of virus spread is not breaking, but what these children are doing, they're selling garbage bags. This is a very common sight here. And they are getting more exposed to virus.
Yeah.
And this is a really heart-wrenching situation to see very small children from age 6 to 16 on the road. And according to them, anyways, they are either going to die of virus or due to hunger. So one day while I was buying vegetables, then one of my vegetable vendors shared her story, and the daughter, she requested me, "Can you teach me?" So then that time I was inspired, and because when you are here inside house, you can't realize.
Absolutely.
When you're out, you see what is going on.
Yep.
So then I started taking online and physical classes for children of underprivileged sections of the community. What I do, I teach simple science concepts so that the focus on the study remains. I do not stick to anything. I just see that any simple concept they should know. So I teach them after my regular school working hours because I don't want these children to sell garbage bags. So this thing has quite brought a lot of change in me also, because this is the situation which demands me, rather it demands all the educators community to come forward and propose the solution. So at this point of time, we see a lot of commitment and creativity of teachers for student and student learning. So I request all the teachers fraternity to come forward and help all the underprivileged sections. Though we know that government has launched many e-learning platforms like Swayamprabha, Diksha, but to access them, these underprivileged sections do not have any resources.
Any means, correct.
As a community, we should plan to procure some spare devices like phones, laptops, etc. for under-resourced kids, because they don't have access to online education. So they should not miss the opportunities that is going to determine their future.
Absolutely, ma'am. And you've done a fantastic, job there, because to keep those kids, education going, that's wonderful. And you have also said that you're always seeking opportunities to learn, improve, work upon continuous self development. So if I ask you, what's the one thing that you learned about yourself, or you learned a skill during this pandemic?
Our life has totally changed with this COVID. COVID has changed everything. And the only way to challenge ourselves is we should look to reinvent ourselves. I have changed so much.
Right.
I have worked upon myself. There is a story from Bible, like God tells you that you need to be born again. But how can one be born again? How can I go back to my mother's womb and born again? It is really tough to reinvent yourself. But as I say, something which is very essential for us, for all of us, that is reinventing. Because the demand that is made from us, it is very, very high, and we have to meet it up. And if we do not reinvent ourselves, if we do not change ourselves, if we do not change our attitude, then it is very difficult to transform ourselves.
Right.
If we do not keep ourselves to the context, what is happening around us, and we do not change our attitude, it is very difficult for us to fit into the new norm.
Correct.
And we see that we still find it difficult to accept situations at home, at workplace. So I have worked upon myself a lot. It's all about I'm taking learning again and again, learn, relearn. This process is happening. It's continuous process.
That's wonderful, ma'am. So since we are at the fag end of our interview, so any message you'd like to give to the EdTech community regarding the subject of astronomy?
Oh, that's really nice. So if I talk about EdTech community and space technology, they are complementing each other at a great length, because both are the epicenter for propagation of knowledge across multiple streams.
Correct.
And one can definitely take a lead, can choose any of the stream and become a trailblazer. It can be from astronomical science and educating people in the areas of STEM, example, material sciences, and it can be chemicals, also specialty chemicals.
Right.
It can be astrobiology, space drones are there, space robotics are there, satellites, rockets, space blogging, communication. So there are various areas the EdTech community can come forward and take a lead on this.
That's wonderful, ma'am. And my last question to you, you spoke about trailblazers. So your students, the little trailblazers, what message would you like to give to them? Because since they are trapped inside their houses for so long, any message? Yeah.
So the only thought which comes to my mind is dare to dream. Even if you belong from a small town, you should break all the glass ceilings everywhere. Do something because you really want to do it. And if you're doing something just for a goal and you don't enjoy the path, then I think you are cheating yourself. And this is not my quote. This is the one of the most inspiring, best quotes from Kalpana Chawla, and that motivates me also. And sometimes students might feel that they are lost and they don't know where to go, especially after 12 standards. They really don't think of what they have to do. So the next steps, what they have to do. And the one thing which I would like to say is to believe in your own brilliance, and you must connect with people around you. The secret is to find a relatable model. We all need mentor because they have already played their unique part in their careers. So by diversifying the pool of role models, you will be able to find a solid reason to be in your sector. Your role model succeeded, and you should understand why they have stayed there and how they have defined success. So we all need to find someone relatable who is going to inspire us. So we define success. How do we do it? We find the role models. So I have few tips. All you need to do is qualify some potential role models and people that exist in your circle based on 3 simple criteria. The first one is connect with the people who are really just 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. Because one of the biggest mistakes that people do is they look forward, they look for the role models like CEOs, and they feel unrelatable. and
Correct.
it is overwhelming for them. So the trick is to find people who are just 3 steps ahead of you, and then connect with them on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or any other social media platform. Second tip is search for the struggles. Searching for the struggles, and this is the actual magic happens. So people who share the same struggles can show what's possible beyond these struggles, because they will give you the real insights.
Correct.
The third tip is focus on the details that we usually don't do, especially Indians. We do not focus on the details. So this is going to help us. This is the real trick to break those rules and beyond, and look for commonalities, and some are which are creatively, and these are the details you should focus upon. And if you focus on details, then you get inspired in your career, because then you find the relatable model there. So I would like to end this by saying the path from the dreams to success does exist. You have the vision to find it, the courage to get over it, and the perseverance to follow. Thank you so much.
How wonderful. How wonderful. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for your time. We wish you all the best. And we hope that you keep on mentoring more and more kids, keep on supporting underprivileged children, and find, more avenues to put the case of astronomy, in India, for the betterment in India. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Shubhamji. Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers. I'll see you in the next episode of Education Plus or Industry Talk. Thank you so much.